What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, a show dedicated to talking about all the Pogcast things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I am one of your co-hosts, Veritas.
And I'm JesseKazam.
Yeah, is your lighting different?
No, is your lighting different? Looks dark.
I may have turned this down because I had like a headache or something.
You have a fucking remote control.
Yeah. Pew, 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 pew.
Wow.
Yeah, imagine.
I would love it if.
Oh, dude, I should have had it.
Yeah, we'll have to coordinate that.
Yeah,
behind the
missed
scenes.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh man, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm completely and utterly disappointed. My day has been ruined.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined. Why?
Yeah. This is gonna be one of those Veritas
Hot
bad
take.
takes.
Oh, let's get it out early, bro. You only have to watch 18 seconds before you can start commenting.
Well, actually, did you hear the new Sleep Token song?
I haven't. I heard there was a new Sleep Token song. I opened up my phone. I saw that the new album drops May 9th, and that's too close. I won't listen to it until the album drops.
Would you listen to like 5 seconds looped?
Sure. Yeah.
Dude,
Is this gonna get us demonetized?
Nah.
Not like demonetized indefinitely, but all right, rip it.
Oh, so let me just preface this. I tweeted earlier.
You
about
hate
this.
Sleep Token, right? This is the thing. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, like anybody who's been here in my stream for the last few months has known that I've just basically had their last 2 albums in order, every song
just on repeat,
like repeat, basically. And months and months have gone by. They teased the song.
So the take is that the song sucks. You don't like the song?
I don't like it. I don't like it, and it's not for any of the like there were. I played it, and there were a bunch of people who you could tell aren't Sleep Token fans because they're like, I don't really like the different genres. But it's like, okay, well then,
yeah.
But I'll read my tweet.
Okay.
I said, I really hate to say it, but the new Sleep Token track is, in my opinion, not great. I'm not a fan of the mixing. The lyrics seem like they were written by ChatGPT compared to Vessel's prior writing.
Yeah.
And the best part of the song, like the actual, in my opinion, dopest part of the song, is ruined by the criminal placement of a snare hit.
One or like one that happens on a consistent beat?
Consistently.
Okay. It happens on like the and of 2 or something?
Yeah, so I'm glad because there were a few people who like obviously aren't musical that like were like, I don't really hear anything.
Yeah. Which is fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's like if I were to eat a shoe in front of Gordon Ramsay and be like, I don't taste anything wrong.
Okay, bro. Oh man.
So I had to go into Logic Pro. I went into Logic Pro, pulled the song in, tempo matched it.
Yeah.
Just to try to make it clear kind of what I was talking about.
Okay.
And then I actually went through and I did a couple of different variations with like my own drums.
Okay.
To try to get an idea. So I'm going to play a few different things. So like, let's see. Can you hear this?
Mm-hmm.
This.
That's you, right?
Yeah.
You're like, this is the song.
Yeah, this is it. It's like weird minimalist. No, so I have like 2 or 3 versions of drums that I was trying to like match up to.
Gotcha, like what he was doing. Yeah.
But like that sounds like. I'll turn on the metronome. Right?
Yeah.
Now I have a variation of that gives a double snare hit
mm-hmm.
and a kick at the end.
Okay.
So, oh, and also has hi-hats.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Groovy.
Now, rather than the but up with the snare,
mm-hmm.
rather than have like the second one be a ghost note, like the but up,
Yeah.
I get rid of the first one, and the second one is the note.
Oh. Oh. Is that
Now,
on the and of the note, or is it like on the E? Is it like 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and is it like a fourth subdivision, or is it on the?
It's a 16th note, so I think it's 1 E and a 1 E and a 1 E and a.
Oh, yeah.
Let me just. But here, let me.
It's on the E.
Yeah, 1 E and a. Yep.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna play the first bar of the song.
Yeah.
Just looped. Okay. Sounds good, right?
Yeah, I was about to say. Okay, I was like, is there a snare in this? Because I don't hear it. Okay.
Now I'm going to play the first and the second in a row.
Okay. Oh. Yeah.
It sounds like someone's like stopping the record.
Yeah.
And like, dude, I was like, I was
about to say the beginning kind of gets me hyped though. I mean, I totally see what you're saying about that snare placement being like almost like just to prove I can throw a snare on the E of a note.
Yeah, and it's like it's weird because I know a lot of people are going to be like, that's what bothered you, but
yeah,
it's like, I don't know how to describe it. You get a feel for music, right? You get in the groove.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when they first heard it, were like, was that a mistake? There's no chance it was a mistake. It was definitely an intentional.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I was like, why?
Yeah. I mean, music is one of those things, man, where like when you play music or when you learn about music, I mean, like you could have played the trombone, you know, I'm not saying guitar specifically, but like you just listen to it differently. Just like if you work at McDonald's, you go to Wendy's and you're like, dude, I bet they don't clean the like there's just a perspective that opens when you work at a fast food. So it really does just like change how you listen to music forever. And like the way you and I probably, I would guess, like jam to music is like sinking into the rhythm and pocket of like what is going on musically. Whereas my wife listens to music completely different. My wife, time to my wife, 38 minutes and 31 seconds. Completely differently. Like she's not listening to the lyrics at all. She never knows what anyone's saying. It's just like the emotion that she feels when the music is, that's quite literally it. And it's like, neither is the correct interpretation of music, but I can't go back to that because I want to. So if something musically, you know what I mean, like is kind of driving me nuts, then you it's like,
I literally had like my eyes shut and I was just like listening to it and I had to be like, is like YouTube buffering? Like, what the fuck at first, honestly, the first few times, and the fact that it's like every other bar, and like the second half of every other bar, it was like, oh no, it's fine. Oh, okay, it must have been. Oh no, wait, I heard it again. Wait, what the fuck was that? It just sounded.
Yeah, because it'd be one thing if it was like he does that once every like 8 bars as like flair, because then you're like, oh, that's like weird, but almost to have it like feel like consistent enough to be annoying, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, like about the drummer who like they all wear masks and have like pseudonyms, but he's basically what 2 is his name,
I think.
The thing that like everybody loves about him is he's always just throwing in shit.
Yeah,
he never plays anything twice. He's always throwing it
Yeah.
You know, like cymbal hits and whatever.
Yeah.
It's always like tasteful and like I see you like
yeah.
Very subtle, very tasteful. And in this song, the drums are for the most part like as if he copy pasted each thing over and 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 over again.
It almost just like doesn't feel like his drumming.
With the middle portion, which like is the coolest part. It's got that like it sounds like tapping with this weird drum thing that's like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like, and then the entire like second half of the song, it sounds like every other metal song programmed drums. Like just the kick is like brr, brr. It's just not. And then I was listening and I'm like waiting for the like fucking hits, and there's just like not really much of that. It just does. And then also Vessel, it doesn't, his voice sounds a little different. It just sounds off.
Interesting.
It also sounds like when I remember when I was first trying to make like some prog metal-esque stuff, because I'm bad at mixing, but I wanted it to go hard. You kind of like boost the snare, boost the kick, boost and it just ends up being like, it just feels like overwhelming and muddy.
Yeah.
Not like clear. And then the lyrics, can I read a couple of lines? And this is one of those things like it's hard. It's really hard to like quantify what it is that just feels off. Right? Like these are, I'm sure someone would listen to this and then I'll read lyrics to one of their previous songs afterwards and be like, there's no difference. It's all poetic, whatever. But I literally had to like leave full screen and double check, is this Sleep Token and is this the new song?
Yeah.
It was really confusing. So these are the lyrics to the verse that you just heard.
Okay.
Are you carbide on my nano, red glass on my light bulb, dark light on my culture, sapphire on my white gold, burst out of my chest and hide out in the vents, my blood beats so alive, might bite right through your lens. It's midnight in my mind's eye, drowning out the daylight. Godspeed to my enemies who've been asking for that call sign. You know the behavior, canines of the savior, glory to the legion, trauma for the neighbors.
Some of that I felt was like right on point, but some of it, what was like the first 3 lines again?
Ask ChatGPT to write a verse like
dude,
Sleep
we've
Token.
done this before. I think we did it on the.
It was more Sleep Token than this.
I think we did that on the Patreon. What were the first like 3 lines?
Are you carbide on my nano, red glass on my light bulb, dark light on my culture, sapphire on my white gold?
Dude, what do you mean? That's bars.
Like compared to
yeah.
Just run it back. Give me 5 whole minutes. I'm thick tar on the inside burning. I've got a ghost in the hallway grinning and a heavy head that won't stop turning. If my fate is a bad collision and if my mind is an open highway, give me the Twilight two-way vision. Give me one last ride on a sunset.
That's my favorite song on the album. Oh! You know, this is why, by the way, this is exactly why I don't really vibe with singles from bands that I prefer to listen to their entire albums. Because
they might be telling a story that will make
100%.
sense.
It's like this might be like freaking, I don't know. I mean, this is probably copium, but it's like they could be characters in the story or like the context of the song before or the song after. This type of artist is like an artist that you listen to with everything. And at the very least, what could happen is that like if you listened to the album the whole way through and at the end you were like, what's the name of the song? Carbide on my nano?
Emergence.
If you listen to the album the whole way through and at the end you were like, bro, banger album. Emergence was a little weird though. It stings so much less because you're like, you know what I mean? But when you're like hyped out of your mind for new music from the band and it's like, they got to pick one song and was it the label? Was it them? Who picked this song? Who picked that? Like, I don't know. And so I would just so much rather listen to it through. I mean, I'm obviously not saying nobody should listen to the single. Like, that's dumb. But I'm just saying, for me, for artists that I like to listen to their music through, maybe the story of the song before is that he gets taken over by ChatGPT. So then this song makes sense in the context of the story. That was someone in chat said that.
I even wrote, it's so weird. So all I'll say is that, like, if you like the song, you're not wrong. It's purely subjective.
Yeah.
It was just, I listened to it, and on every level, I was listening to the drums, and then I was listening to the mixing, and then I was listening to his voice, and then I was listening to the lyrics, and I'm like, everything just felt off. That I'm like, is this like a band, like a cover band? Is this their official channel? Is it really? Yeah. Part of me even thought for a moment, and I don't really believe this, but I can't help when I experience something and it comes into my head.
Yeah,
there's something doing that, right? Whether it's me or whether it's the song, I'll leave my fate in the hands of the audience. But I was like, the impression I got was, it would be so wild and the ultimate, like, art Molyneux fucking cinema thing, especially after playing fucking Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. Where I'm like, imagine if they came out with a song that was just like objectively bad, that they made purposefully bad, for their audience to be like, oh my god. Because I went down, I said all of my feedback, I said before I looked in the comments, I scrolled down and everyone was like, incredible, unbelievable, amazing. Like, nothing negative. Not that I necessarily expected people to be like shitting on them in the comments, because I'm not going to write anything negative.
No.
But
I get what you're saying. Like, imagine the art of it all if they made a bad song on purpose just to be like, you mere mortals.
Cult members are gonna like anything we do. You're gonna like anything we do. You need to reflect on that, because this is actually bad. Here's our album and it's art, right? Like, so yeah. I mean, again, like, the more I listen to it, like, even just now when I played it, it actually, like, hit less bad than the first time. I almost felt like, ooh, that's like my like dislike is like not landing, because I didn't feel it as bad. So maybe it's one of those things that, like, the more I listen to it, the more it's going to grow on me.
For sure. Also, I don't know how much you've made a ton of music. You've made infinitely more music than I have. But we've talked about this before. Like, I have a lot more experience with, like, in a band, you know what I mean? I've been in like 11 bands. The amount of times you're like diddling with something and like everybody hates it, and because everybody hates it, you play it more and more because it's funny, and then you've crossed a threshold where, like, the song feels weird without it, and now we all love it. You know what I mean? Like, music is just like that. Like there's a universe where that hit on that and of 2 was a joke.
Yeah.
And then, like, they were all like, bro, it's not right without it. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that just happens. Now, stuff like the lyrics and the mixing, that mixing is a thing I'm pretty sensitive to as well. I find that I don't really care how a band is mixed unless, like, I've got a couple albums of them mixed pretty consistently, and then things change and feel less quality. One of my favorite bands from way back in the day had that. They're like 4th album felt like they made it in GarageBand, and it was so weird and it threw me off. Now, I came back around to that album like years later and fell in love with it and listened to it a ton. But when you have, like, an expectation from your favorite band and the mix is weird, that's something that, once again, the mix doesn't mean a lot to people that aren't, like, haven't been in the world, which is totally fine, by the way.
And they're going to listen to it on their phone or whatever.
Exactly. And that's totally fine. Once again, nobody's wrong about, like, music and what they like, but that wouldn't be. But there's a universe where the snare hit, like, was bad on purpose and then just became, like, one with the song in their minds, and they just had to keep it in.
This to me felt 80% as bad as after I saw Star Wars Episode 1. Like, that snare is Jar Jar Binks.
Damn, bro.
Yeah. So, I don't know, like, It is what it is. It's not a big deal. It was one of those things where I was like so excited, and then like I almost felt like I'm like looking around and like, wait, is this a prank? And then everybody was like, yo, this is sick. And I'm like, why do I feel weird? Why do I not feel right about this? But
if I was an artist, I wouldn't necessarily want to like do that, where you were saying like make a bad song on purpose to prove a point. But, and I probably wouldn't ever do this, but it would cross my mind. The older I get, the more I realize how much simply expectation can ruin anything. You know what I mean? If you go to your friend and you're like, dude, this is the like most delicious drink I've ever had, because you're so excited about it, like that's a completely different vibe than like, yo, have you tried this? Dude, we talk about that all the time in gaming, right? Where like this game is supposed to, you know, I was having a conversation in chat today. It wasn't like a mean-spirited one at all, but I was breaking down basically an argument that was like, Gray Zone Warfare was supposed to be the savior. They were supposed to be the one ring that ruled them all to replace Tarkov and whatever. And I can't believe they said that. And I was like, whoa. Let's break that down. I was like, they never said that. You had that as an expectation and then judged the art against your expectation, not what the artist said their art was supposed to be. So it's like, there's always like that. So if I was an artist and I like blew up over a couple albums, there'd be a part of me that would want to release a bad song just to be like, lower the expectations so that I can blow your mind again. Because, dude, the expectations go crazy. Yeah. I'm not saying I think that's what they did. I haven't even heard the song, so I might love it. I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe the whole album is about like an iPhone becoming sentient or whatever, and like fighting its way out, samurai style, out of the like factory in Malaysia. Maybe then the words would make sense. I've got solar flares for your dead gods, space dust for your fuel rods, dark days for your solstice, dancing through the depths of hellfire on the winds that started from within. My blood beats so alive, might tear right through my skin. My blood beats so alive. What does that mean? That Chat GPT ass motherfucker.
Vessel, get in here, bro. We're getting him on the podcast.
On, man.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Well, I really like the vibe of the first bar, so I'm excited to listen to it.
Well, you're objectively wrong.
I might listen to it just so like next week I can talk about it. Because it's not like a rule I have. I just don't want to like put it in a playlist and then have listened to it a bunch. Because basically, it's not that I'm completely against listening to singles, but what I don't like is having a song on a new album I want to skip. And when you listen to like the one song a bunch, you kind of wring that song out. And then I get the album and I was like, I'll skip this one. So maybe I'll listen to it like this weekend and then we'll talk about it next week. I don't mind listening to it. I just don't want to like listen to it a bunch and then like, you know what I mean?
Okay, wait, you have to listen to it on stream. I just want like if you listen to it once.
Yeah.
Listen to it on stream and I want to see your reaction.
Okay. Okay.
It definitely has a few parts that I liked for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just weird. It was like, it's like, imagine if Sleep Token, their fucking tour bus crashed and Vessel and 2 died. And then they replaced them with people who were like
they didn't want to tell anyone.
Yeah, right. Like that's so what it feels like.
Yeah.
Like this guy sounds kind of like Vessel.
Yeah. But even then, if I listen to it, we will have listened to it from such different places. You know what I mean? You being like, oh my God, the new Sleep Token track is out. And me being like, oh, Veritas said this track is ass. You know what I mean? That's such a different mental.
Already painted.
Yeah, that's such a different mental place. You know, 6 hours ago when chat was like, bro, did you see the new Sleep Token track? I was like, oh my God, I should have listened to it right then and there.
I shouldn't have ruined it for you.
No.
Well, actually, no. I there's a part of me that almost thinks maybe I might have like, if they're swaying you towards being negative or being positive, like if, you know, +10, -10, I feel like you might went from 0 to +1.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
because
like,
it shattered the expectation, the unrealistic expectation I have that the next album, my unconscious expectation was like, it's going to be just like Take Me Back to Eden. It's going to be, it's going to be that, you know what I mean? So you've like grounded the expectation. Yeah. So I agree. It's probably slightly likelier that I like the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy your poison well, motherfucker.
Oh, hell yeah. As well, before we hop over and start talking about some gaming stuff, I really want to hear about the rest of the Detroit Become Human playthrough. I do want to take a quick second and thank the first sponsor for this week's episode, and that is Mando. Mando's got you covered for all things getting you smelling good. They got deodorant, they got wipes, they got spray, and their stuff is awesome. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how BO was misdiagnosed and mistreated. And Mando has got you with whole body deodorant, pits, balls, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, and feet. I'm literally reading from this right now, literally anything. But it's nice. We've talked a lot about how, for me, I like that, the company has their like 5 or 6 signature scents, and then they have like every type of deodorant you could want. They've got the regular stick deodorant. They've got the spray deodorant, if you like that better. They've got, deodorant like, it's almost like lotion, but it's deodorant. And that kind of stuff is a lot easier to kind of get anywhere. You don't want to take your stick deodorant and start rubbing it. So it's like, you got options. You got options with scents. You got options with styles. And it all smelled good.
Yeah, dude. After the last time we talked about it, I had basically gone and I just ordered like 3 standalone, like a pack of 3 to try to figure out, because there was some scents that I hadn't tried yet.
Yeah.
And I ran out of those like a week and a half ago. And all I had was like, I've got like 4 other deodorants that are like the kind of sport liquidy kind of thing. And I had to use those for the last like week and a half. And literally it was like, it was ruining my day. Or I'm not like a sweaty guy either. Like I don't sweat. Maybe it's just me getting old, but man, I was missing having Mando. So I finally did what I've been procrastinating doing and set myself up with like the, once every 2 months or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have to think about it again.
Nice.
And I have not found any brands of deodorant that were aluminum free, so they don't just gunk up my t-shirts and make it so that there's like a chunk of whatever when they come out of the washing machine. Until Mando, all the ones that they either gunked up my shirt or they didn't work. So can't say enough.
It's awesome. They work the control odor for up to 72 hours. All products are baking soda free, paraben free. The spray deodorant is aluminum free. Easy to get in all the hard to reach places. They've got you covered. And the Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like the mini body wash or the deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers can get $5 off the starter pack, which is already discounted. That equates to over 40% off of your starter pack using code Pogcast. Using code Pogcast at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Using code Pogcast. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence head to toe with Mando. Thank you so much to Mando for sponsoring this episode.
What'd you say the code was?
Pogcast.
Oh, okay. I thought we got a different code. I guess not.
We got codes on codes on codes, but for Mando, Pogcast.
Word.
Bada bing. All right, so I saw you playing Disco Elysium. I'm assuming that means you got through Detroit Become Human?
I got through Detroit Become Human. And
was it as good as you predicted it to be?
Yeah.
Nice. Good.
And then I also played another one that I want to talk about briefly afterwards, because I've been cruising through games. Another one called The Root Trees Are Dead.
Okay.
But so Detroit Become Human, I played through it like 2.5 times.
Oh, dang. Okay.
The first time through, so you play multiple characters.
Okay.
The whole premise of the story, right, is that like similar to Westworld, there are these like ultra humanistic robots.
Yeah.
Humanistic isn't a word.
I'm with you though. I'm tracking.
And they're basically, you know, like workers, factory workers, you know, they're like slaves basically. They just do all the things. People have them in their house. They're, you know, it's only like $2,000-$4,000 to get basically like a full-grown adult human that'll do whatever you want. Yeah, sex robots, maids, the whole nine. And you play as one of three.
Okay.
Well, you play as all three. You kind of just go from like narrative to narrative. It's like almost like chapters.
Okay.
And the story is interwoven. Every decision you make has repercussions. One of the characters you play is I don't know, probably like a 20-something-year-old woman who is like basically the maid caretaker in a family that is a small girl, a young girl, I don't know, maybe like 7 or something, and then like a dude who just does like meth all day and is like a shitty and abusive, basically. Another one where you are the guy from Jackson Avery, the doctor from Grey's Anatomy. You might recognize. I forget the actor's name, but he is like kind of almost like an assistant for a guy who's like an artist.
Okay.
Like a famous artist in like a wheelchair, and this place takes place in like 2058.
Okay.
So like nearish future, might be 2038 actually, I forget. I can't remember if it was 30 years in the future or if it was like 2030.
Yeah.
Something about 30 there. Anyway. And then the last character you play is basically like almost like a prototype robot used by the police. You basically become like the robot partner of like one of those old drunk cop guys who hates robots.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So you're tasked to be his partner, and you're like trying to solve all these crimes. All of your decisions matter. They're all intertwined. The first time through, I won't spoil any of the endings, but basically the first time through, I got as pretty close to the worst possible ending for all three characters. We're talking like death, concentration camp, like the worst of all possible.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was not good. So then I'm like, instantly, I want to go back.
Yeah.
Because there were so many pivotal points where I made decisions that were mistakes, or I failed because the game has a lot of like little quick time events.
Yeah.
And the quick time events, there's something I realized actually playing this game that I never really thought about. WASD. Conceptually in my head, those are like effectively arrow keys.
Yeah.
So when something pops up on screen and goes A, I'm like,
oh,
which one's fucking A?
Yeah. Yes.
It takes me a second. Like A and D.
It almost needs to be like left. You'd hit A.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It would be less bad. A lot of people say they played on a controller, and like, you know, X, square, triangle, circle, those would be way more intuitive. And I haven't played a PlayStation controller in 20 years.
Yeah. No, that's
so there's something
funny.
that really fucked me was, now it's funny because W, Q, and E, right?
Yep.
Q is the corner.
Yep.
And E is like F and E. They're like the action buttons. So like those were a little bit more intuitive, but A, S, and D.
I can totally see that. Especially if you don't have a lot of time.
And literally, you're like in the middle of a cutscene. You're talking to E. You're dead. That's how long. And you're not dead, but
you failed.
Someone was tackling you or something, and it's like that's what you have. It's in the middle of a thing. I'm sitting here talking to chat or whatever, and it's over. And it's like holy shit. So the sad part is that it got to the point where if I just did this, on ASD.
Uh
It doesn't penalize you
for
for hitting the wrong button.
one. It's just for not
So
hitting
I'm just
the one.
and then it was like success, 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 success. Then it was like trivialized it almost.
Yeah.
Oh, and then every now and then there would be spacebar, control, or shift.
Oof.
With also click, swipe left, and swipe right.
Jeez.
And when you replay it, sometimes they switch.
So
like you might be like chasing after an assailant and you have to like, they'll throw something on the ground and you have to like go left or go right. The first time I played, it was like click, swipe left, swipe right. And that's actually way more intuitive because it's left and right.
Yeah.
Whereas the next time I played through after I failed and I like wanted to redo it, it was A and D. So a little bit of mixing it up. But overall, I played the game again and I basically got, I think, like the best possible ending.
Nice.
The best possible endings for all the characters without like, I didn't do any save scumming or whatever.
Yeah.
You have the ability to like go back and choose a chapter and say, I want to play this chapter again, but like don't save. So if you just want to like test out, at one point you can like detonate like a nuke. And I'm like, I wonder what happens if I do that.
That's crazy.
But it's an incredibly good game. It's got some of the best writing and voice acting that I have experienced in the last decade of gaming. Really fantastic. Would absolutely recommend it. And I'm looking forward to checking out some of the other games that those guys have made.
Yeah, I wonder, because when did that come out? When did that release?
2018.
18, okay.
And it's also like might be the best looking game I've ever played.
Really? Even like up there with like Red Dead 2?
Red Dead, I want to say no, not the faces and like the the like character
mannerisms and
faces
stuff like that. Yeah,
aren't quite as good as Red Dead, but like Red Dead, like walking through the wilderness on a horse with like the lighting through the tree, like very few games.
We'll ever do that. Okay.
Now I will say there is one thing though, in that they all, I swear to God, I bet you there's a bug in either the code for the mocap or the code for whatever the algorithm that they use to like map the lips or something. But every character every now and then has a thing where it's like half of their lip just doesn't move, and
it's like they're having a stroke. Like
it looks like they're kind of having a stroke. Yeah. And then at one point some of the characters start singing and you can tell that it's like the voice actors weren't the ones doing the singing. So they probably didn't mocap it. So they probably had to go through and like manually do, and it didn't look good at all.
So overall, those things. Yeah. I wonder if they're cooking on something else, because 2018, I mean, that's 7 years ago, and that's off the heels of, like I said, I'm sure they've been around for a while, but they're on kind of a run with, what's the game? Not Beyond Two Souls. Detroit Become Human.
Star Wars Eclipse.
The Star Wars Eclipse?
Heavy Rain.
Yeah.
They made Beyond Two Souls and Heavy Rain.
Yeah. I'm sure they made games before that, but those are like, they're kind of on a run of like games that, just like really strong narrative people really like. And so I wonder if they're cooking on a new project.
Yeah, but this game was definitely 9 out of 10.
That's awesome.
Incredible atmosphere. It was very cinematic. Definitely felt like super immersive. All the characters felt so real, and you actually have like what feel like really emotional, ethical, moral sort of dilemmas and stuff that end up having an impact.
That's cool.
And you could probably play it through. Like after every little chapter, they show you like the decision tree of like what happened.
Oh wait, you weren't lying? They're working on a Star Wars game?
I don't know. I saw it on the
Quantic Dream is targeting a 2026 release for Star Wars Eclipse.
Yeah, I saw that when I Googled Quantic Dream, it was the first thing in their like website in the Google results in like the bullet points.
Oh, dang. See, does that make you like excited or sad? A part of me is almost like,
Star Wars is dead to me.
Yeah,
I give zero fucks about any.
It's like I'm not unwilling to watch or play an excellent game made in that universe. Like, of course, the thought of, telling a new story or whatever, but just like, we just don't need more like $1 trillion IP shit. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, once again, I get it. If you're Quantic Dream, you're like, if we make a game as good as Detroit Become Human and wrap it in Star Wars, it's going to sell 1 billion copies. Like, I get it, right? Like, no shade to them. Just as a consumer, I'm like, dude, like.
Honestly, I'm actually, now I recognize I am not the market. But I would be way less interested in if it was like an incredible game, like if it was the same style of game as Detroit Become Human. If it was a totally new universe, totally new IP, I'd be like, I want to get immersed in that. The moment it's Star Wars, it's like,
I agree. That's what,
unless I'm playing as like young Han Solo, like episode 4, 5, 6 is really, now I'm not one of those people that like hate all the prequels and all of the other ones that came after. It's just not the same as the fucking 3 VHS thing I grew up with that I'm nostalgic about.
It just seems impossible. Like, why you just have to jump through so many hoops, and there's so many like rules and canon and what was canon and what was canon and isn't canon anymore, and this, that, and the other. It's like no one was like, the android wouldn't do that in Detroit Become Human because it was their world. But like, freaking his lineage links with Luke's 6,000 years in the future, and there's no way Luke's spirit would ever allow this. It's just like, why do you gotta mess? Just freaking make something original.
Yeah,
I don't know, but that's probably jaded consumer, Jesse. Not like, I don't know. Yeah, like you said, it's not the market.
That's based real, Jesse. This is, so just to give an example, one of the chapters for one of the characters like looks like this. So each one of these are either quick time events or choices, like dialogue options. These are all like endings. So it might be like, you're in prison, you get your arm blown off, you die, everyone hates you, everyone loves you. Like,
that's crazy. That's cool.
And there's a feature that basically shows the stats, so you can see what percentage of like people in the world got that path.
Okay.
So like the ending that I got was like 7% of the people have gotten that ending, which is like all bad except for like I got like the worst, and like the second worst. It was real bad.
Man.
But so play that game.
That's sick.
It's fantastic. I just finished a game. It took me 2 days to play through because I was looking for another puzzle game. And it was called The Root Trees Are Dead.
Okay.
I really liked it. So the premise of this is the root trees are a family. It's a surname.
Okay. Okay.
Weird.
Of people.
It's a weird surname.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it's not about trees.
Especially after some of the games you played, I'm literally thinking sentient trees. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're back.
Yeah. The tree people
now we're back.
Attacked.
Yeah, at the ends.
So the root trees are basically like a millionaire family that have owned a candy company. Think about it like Nestle.
Okay.
This like candy dynasty. And it takes place in 1998.
I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 7.
Yeah, I was 10. And there's a plane crash where there's the father, a mother, and 3 girls. 3 girls who are all like teenagers, basically.
Okay.
They're all like models, kind of famous, like Mary-Kate Ashley. They were in commercials for the candy and they modeled clothes and whatever.
Yeah.
So it was the dad, basically like a family. The dad was the president of the company at the time.
Okay.
And somebody like knocks on your door. I don't remember the backstory, but basically they're like, I'm hiring you to do some sleuthing because there's like a trust that is involved in this family, which means there's like, millions of dollars on the line, and we need you to fill out this family tree.
Okay.
To figure out like who are the blood relatives of all these people.
Okay.
So you're basically given like a big family tree that's empty. You're given a couple of photos, a list of like 5 or 6 names, and a computer. You literally like log in, connect to the internet. You hear the like,
yes, dude. Yes.
So it takes place like most of the game. You're either like looking in folders at pictures, or you are navigating inside of a computer, the like equivalent of Google. It's like Netscape.
Gotcha. Yep.
And there's the search engine. You type in things, you hit search, and it's like, and if you type in like a name, right? Like you type in like, Eli root tree.
Yeah.
Hit enter. It'll give you like a little synopsis of like it doesn't actually give you web pages.
Yeah.
It's almost like a description of like, you see a web page that has a GIF blinking at the top. And this web page even has a border around it. And it's so funny because it's like web 1.0.
Yeah.
So if you're nostalgic for that, it's kind of neat. But it's basically like, if anybody, the most similar game is the Return of the Obra Dinn. For anybody who knows that. I played it.
Okay.
And we talked about it, but I'm not going to go back through that. Effectively, you're going through and you're like piecing together almost like a detective. What happened? Who's who? Now let me see if I can probably get a picture of the family tree from the root so that you get an idea. Yeah, this is for the most part what it looks like, although it scrolls to like the left and the right.
Yeah.
So what you end up with is like a bunch of different pictures, and a bunch of names, and so you have to fill out the name, the picture, and the occupation. Of basically everyone. These ones were like spouses.
Yeah.
That you don't need the occupation. Some of them have pictures, some of them don't. But you're basically going back through the history of this family all the way back to the founders of this company.
Yeah.
However fucking long, 100-something years in the past. And it was really good. It was really good.
That's cool.
It was a lot of fun. I just needed something that was a little like puzzly.
Yeah.
And there's a few little twists and turns. One of the coolest things, as like a super quick aside, one of the coolest things was there's like a couple of Easter eggs, and one of the Easter eggs I found was I had like looked at the back of like a record label thing, and then I've Googled some record label, because there's like a periodical search, and there's also like the library search.
Okay.
You can like look in like, and you have to find these things written somewhere to like know the names of like the Butler County Times, to like know, so that you can search for people's names all over the place. There's also like, if you search for like Chris Jones, it won't come up, but if you do Christopher Jones, it will. So there's like little
specifics.
Yeah. And one of the Easter eggs, it was just like so wholesome, was on an article for like a record label thing that was basically referenced someone. I Googled that name, and it basically said, this name isn't anything having to do with this game. It's actually just an artist that I, the developer, really happen to like. And if you really want to check it out, I think you should. These are like my 2 favorite songs. And, like it was just like a shout out in the game.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was just like really wholesome, where it was like, yeah, it's kind of cool, where the guy's like, hey, listen, I'm glad you came here. And I would appreciate if you checked out this artist that I really like. And it was like, oh, that's kind of neat.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Self-aware. Little break the fourth wall. That's kind of dope.
Yeah, it was neat. So that was a good game.
Oh, yeah.
And now I just started the big one. I don't have a ton to say about it because it's still brand new, so I'll have to fill in the blanks next week.
Okay.
But the Disco Elysium, a game that everyone's been telling me forever.
I have heard,
a million times, and it was so funny. I got about 6 minutes into the game, and I like looked at chat and I was like, why didn't you guys tell me about this game earlier? And a couple people were like, you motherfucker. Because I could tell I was in love with the game.
Yeah.
And it's another one of those games that you like watch the trailer and it just doesn't. You see pictures, you see screenshots, you see clips from here, from all over the place. And it's like, you get an idea, a vibe. I almost got like a vibe like, God, what was that? Was it Miami? Hotline Miami?
Oh, yeah. That was like the top-down game with the shoot.
Down, but it's like a shooter, almost like twin stick shooter kind of thing. It's like nothing like that, but it was just like, oh, it's this weird kind of retro thing, and you walk around, and I don't care about any of this stuff.
What is the game like? Because is it an RPG? Is it first person, third person? Is it top down?
It's a top down, not really point and click, but like kind of. I mean, you walk around and stuff.
Okay.
But it's an RPG.
Okay.
That it's so hard to describe. There's like not a skill tree, but it's like a skills screen that's like broken up into 4 sections. Disco Elysium skills broken up into 4 sections, and it's I'm not going to remember. So intellect, psyche, physique, and motorics. But basically it's like brains, bronze, like like agility, and like there's 2 different kinds of brains. There's almost like emotional, and then intellectual.
Okay.
And each one of those things has their own. It's like broken down within each of those things are like individual like attributes that you can have points in that help you with different things.
That's cool.
And it's fucking okay. So the notes I took, I wrote incredible art, incredible writing, incredible voice acting are like the 3 top line notes I took. So it's like, okay.
That's a through line for Veritas.
So just to give you an idea, you basically like wake up. Well, first of all, you begin talking to like your reptilian brain.
Nice.
It's just pure blackness. You're in the void. And you're talking to like your reptilian brain. And I went on for like 5 minutes being like, no, I'm enjoying it here in the void. And you just go back and forth. They're like, kind of, do you want to come out of this or not? And the dialogue options are like, dude, the writing is incredible. It's like self-aware in this really interesting way.
Dang.
You say some really hilarious things. But it really kind of lets you do a whole lot of stuff. The game is the writing. Yeah. It's so hard to describe. I'm not going to do it justice.
No, that's sick though.
But so, for instance, some of the like the way that they get broken down, like intellect. There's logic, encyclopedia, rhetoric, drama, conceptualization, and visual calculus.
And these are all skills, or each of those is a skill tree?
Those are like they're not even skills. They're like attributes.
Okay. Yeah.
You start off with, anywhere from like 1 to 4 or 5 points in each of them. And they help with different things. And it's really interesting because it's almost like each one of them is a different part of your brain. I literally imagine there's like, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 24 people sitting around me in the chairs that all interact with me and each other. So like at one point, so I guess I'll get there in a bit. You get up and you're like wicked fucking hungover.
Okay.
And one of the first things I did was like turn on the lights, and I start off with 2 HP. I got down to 1 HP from turning on the fucking lights because you're so hungover that you're like, oh my god, like, so
dang.
And you don't remember who you are, where you came from, what you're doing. You're just like in your fucking underwear, and you're super hungover. After I like get dressed and like, walk out of my like, I'm in like a hostel, like a hotel room.
Yeah.
I come out and there's just like a chick, like a young chick, and you're probably like 50 or something, and she's like 23, sitting there like smoking a cigarette. And you start talking to her back and forth, and you're like, what happened last night? What did I do? And she's basically like, you were listening to music. You said you were like a police officer. But you clearly like trashed the fuck out of your room last night. And at one of the, like, at one point I had an option that was like, try to hit on her. And it tells you, almost like D&D, what are the chances that you will succeed given your current skill level? Now, my character, I chose one of the presets that was basically motorics, I don't know how to pronounce that. And intellect. So like logic, encyclopedia, all that stuff, and hand-eye coordination, perception, reaction speed, interfacing, composure, like all that stuff I'm good at. But what I'm bad at is anything that's endurance, pain threshold, physical, electrochemistry, empathy, authority, suggestion. So I'm like bad at all of those. It was like, try your hand at this thing, and I had like a 7% chance of succeeding. And I chose it, and it says, it like literally wrote, the next line down was, the words came out of your mouth before you could stop yourself. And what I said to her was, I want to have fuck with you. And it's just like,
what the hell?
And she was like, what? And just starts laughing at you. And she's like, can you say that one more time? And your options are like, no, I really don't want to. Or you could say it again. And I'm like, no, I really don't want to. She's like, please, will you just say that again? And she just like fucking laughs at you. Okay, so it's like, you're super uncharismatic. I tried to do it. And so what ends up coming out is word salad that makes you seem like a fucking creep. And then like 3 hours later, I am, what was it? 3 hours later, a guy says something like really weird and kind of creepy to you. He says something to you, and kind of like winks in almost like a weird threatening, kind of like bribery kind of way, like really hard. And you were like, I'm going to just basically choose to ignore it. I'm going to like think about something else. Don't get distracted by this. And all of the options were hilarious. And the third option was like, oh God, did I really just tell that girl like 4 hours ago that I want to have fuck with her? Like, and that was one of your things. You were like, get my mind off of that. And you were like remembering like, oh no.
My God. You're like still embarrassed. You're carrying that weight with you.
Yeah, and then while that happens, like your subconscious, like will like chime in and say things. So like one of the things the guy did is a guy said something and was like, haha, I'm just kidding. And it's like subconscious. He's not. Like, it's so good, dude. It's
is
like,
that the same reptilian brain you were talking to, or is it just like you're basically just hearing your own thoughts?
It's a different part of your brain.
Okay, yeah.
It's almost, yeah. So the different parts of your brain are like, you should do this, you should do that. No, you shouldn't.
Gotcha.
And then if they'll be like misleading potentially if if like you don't have high skills. They talk to each other and they'll like disagree and interrupt each other. It's almost like they're individual. Like empathy is a different person than logic. It's really interesting, dude. At one point, the shit that happens is the writing is incredible. At one point, you're a cop. You're talking to the guy at the bar that you were at last night when you were fucking, eternally wasted, right? And the guy's like, oh, by the way, you owe me like $100 and something fucking dollars for your tab last night. And one of the options was like subtly try to sneak away. And because of like my fucking physique or whatever is so low, what I ended up doing, my subtly try to sneak away that was like a 17% chance of succeeding, ended up, I looked at him, turned, sprinted away, jumped in the air and went, fuck you, into a lady in a wheelchair, and then just like blacked out. That's what happens when I fail to like subtly sneak away. I'm like literally airborne,
real subtle.
I'm airborne, and halfway through the options are like, why am I using why am I flicking them off with both fingers? Like, why both fingers? Like, I'm like literally asking myself, like, what am I fucking doing? The first option was like, wait, is that woman in the wheelchair right behind me?
Oh my god.
And then the third option is to scream, fuck you.
That's amazing.
So
holy.
The whole story, well, actually, I don't know the whole story. You're trying to solve a murder. Somebody was like lynched.
Okay.
And it actually gets the whole thing so far is communism versus capitalism. And like I spent 45 minutes talking to multiple racists.
Okay, that's what I hopped into.
That's what you hopped into.
Yeah.
One of the guys was basically going through telling me about what the fuck was it called? Not critical race theory, because that's the thing, but like some other like I forget what the word universe was. It's probably a real thing too. Advanced race theory. And it's really interesting because it takes place, it's like Earth with humans, but none of the countries are the same.
Okay.
There's like references, like at one point they reference like mariachi, but like the United States doesn't exist, Spain doesn't exist.
Yeah, okay.
Like it's really interesting because it replaces like all of the races and countries and history with like ones that you kind of won't be familiar with. There are ones that like, that sounds like Russia, that sounds like Germany, that sounds like Spain, that sounds like Portugal, whatever. But it kind of challenges your maybe your actual biases, your politics.
Interesting.
And it's really funny because I was responding in ways that I thought were like fairly reasonable, and literally at one point I like it basically unlocks a path where it's like the game literally goes, oh god, like you're a centrist, aren't you? And like one of the fucking options is like, is this because I haven't fallen for like the capitalist or communist like options? Like I haven't chosen any of those, and I've been like, I'm not really sure. So it's like you unlock this path where it looks like maybe, dude, there's a lot. It gets into some serious discussions about like communism and the free market and capitalism in a way that's really interesting. Like when I first am talking to the guy, and the guy's trying to convince me why, like he's like, your race is garbage, you guys are on the decline, you like all effectively like white European kind of whatever, but it's not European and it's not exactly white, because it's all kind of jumbled up and mixed.
Holy.
But you start to wonder, I'm like, in this universe, this guy is talking about how these two different like races are like inferior, and when they get together and have kids, they shouldn't get together, but when they do and they have like this disgusting, dirty, like inter-race kid, it's always infertile. And you're wondering, you're like, are there meaningful genetic differences between the races?
Yeah.
And if there is, how does that change the way I'd assess certain things and blah, 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 and whatever? And then I was using my intuition basically telling me, they're like, this is bullshit. It's like racist propaganda.
Yeah.
And you can like use that to talk to the guy. And one of the things I had to do, like one of my quests was internalized advanced race theory. And you have to like choose it, and it like uses up a skill slot, and takes like 90 minutes of in-game time to like digest it before you have to go back to the guy, and he kind of quizzes you on it, and you make some ethical decisions and whatever.
What?
And then
hell?
And then later on, I'm talking to a guy who's like kind of trying to blackmail me in a weird way, and he kept saying, "Don't worry, I'm not going to tell anybody about that racist conversation you had with the guy." And you're like, "Bro, I was doing that. Like, I pretended like I was racist to convince him to like open the door." And the guy's like, "Yeah, definitely not going to tell everyone about how you definitely aren't racist."
Bro,
and you're like, "Oh my God, what the fuck?"
I don't know what I thought this game was, but not this. That's crazy.
Exactly. Not this, but it's a masterpiece.
Holy.
And you don't have to be like a communist or a leftist.
Yeah.
Like, it seems to me to be a really interesting, as from what I can tell, decently unbiased. I don't want to say unbiased, but like there are aspects of it that make communists seem fucking absurd and ridiculous, and there are aspects of it that make capitalism seem absurd and ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like you read a magazine article in the beginning that has to do with like these car races, that like nobody gives a fuck about the car races. They all are just watching for like the $1 million cars to explode and for people to die. And how it's like, that is like a metaphor for like, is it really worth? And I literally said out loud, I'm like, is this like a metaphor for the idea of, is the cost to human capital and economic resources actually worth the entertainment value and blah, blah, blah? And it literally, like, one of the options was straight up like, is it really worth the death and the money that's wasted for the entertainment? I was like, oh shit. That's
wild, bro.
I have a feeling this game's going to be one of my top 5.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
I had
no idea.
That was the vibe of this game.
I just thought it was a detective game with good writing.
Yeah.
But it's like a fucking cerebral commentary on like race and politics. That's extremely like self-aware and ironic and hilarious and like dystopian.
That's crazy.
It's a mature game. Like, it doesn't treat you like a child. Like, for example, one of the first characters you meet, I forget what his name is. He's this like little shit kid who's just throwing around like slurs. And he's like, he starts Kuno. Yeah, he starts screaming at some point. He's just like trolling you. And he's like screaming about like, this guy's he's whipped his dick out. Like, he's trying to touch me. And you're like, shut the fuck up, kid. Like, what the fuck? It's just like, he's got his dick and balls out of his pants. Someone help. And
what the hell, dude?
Dude, it's funny.
Jesus. That's crazy, bro. How far are you into it? A few hours? Did you just start today?
Yeah, 2 or 3 hours, although I've spent probably like a third of that literally paused talking about like every option.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you have a lot ahead of you in terms of like figuring out where this goes. And
I'm probably going to play it. I feel like Detroit Become Human.
Yeah, you'll want to respec and like see what's different. Dude, holy, that is so not. I almost thought it was like an action RPG. I don't know. I Disco Elysium. Like, I just don't know what, because I don't think I've seen any gameplay. I just didn't know what to have in my head for Disco Elysium. But wow, that's cool, man. That's cool. Well, before we move on and start talking about some other gaming stuff, I do want to take a quick second and thank the second sponsor for this episode, and that is Factor. Once again, if you are ready to optimize your nutrition this year, Factor has got you covered. Chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy and ready to eat in 2 minutes so you can fuel right and feel great. Factor is awesome, man. They got you covered with options. There is over 40 options across 8 dietary preferences. You can pick every single week, or you can let it pick for you. The more you pick, the better it gets at picking for you. And it's just mad convenient. You can choose how many you want. You can say, I want 3 meals this week, 8 meals next week. You want, there's all sorts of keto, protein plus, calorie smart. Once again, chef made stuff. It's just nice knowing that, like, I don't know, somebody, like, I'm not going to make, risotto or like all the different ingredients. It's just like nice to have food that's convenient, quick, easy to heat up, made specifically for me. It's mad convenient. It's mad delicious. We love Factor.
Yeah. It's like at this point, it's still pretty much the only time I ever like eat not like a child is when I'm having Factor. The food is, as someone who's like picky, and really I'm kind of a basic bitch when it comes to like meals. They actually take me a little out of my comfort zone in like a good way.
Yeah.
And every week there's like different stuff, dude. Like literally looking at the menu now.
Yep.
Like I would never order sour cream and chive chicken. I would never order, honestly, ginger teriyaki salmon. I don't really like fish, but I would try. I'm gonna try this.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so many like
Parmesan, sun-dried tomatoes, chicken penne. I love sun-dried tomatoes.
Truffle butter, filet mignon, roasted red pepper. Oh my god, dude! Like, there's just so many fantastic things.
Yep.
For everybody, there's something for everyone. And that's the big thing. Like me and my wife, we eat totally differently. She's not like a child. But she also, with her work schedule, doesn't have enough time to really like prep meals or to cook. So she loves it too. She usually eats most of the Factor meals anyway. So,
and that's what's nice is that like you can use it if you don't have time to cook, or if you don't like cooking, or if you like cooking and you're just busy, you can use it to like supplement. You know what I mean? It's not like, you hate cooking, so here's this tube of, nutrition. It's like, if you like cooking, you'll actually like it too if you're a super busy person, because this is like an actual balanced meal. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's great. They've sent us a bunch of this stuff in the past, the cold pressed juices, their smoothies. They've got tons of different snacks you can do, even breakfasts, grab and go snacks, all sorts of stuff. So you can eat smarter this year with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code FactorPodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That is Factor Podcast at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Thank you so much to Factor for sponsoring this episode. Dude, that's sick. Got some cool games going. I've been kind of slumped back into, not even really slumped. I don't know. I've been back playing mostly Tarkov. I think I'm actually playing some DayZ tomorrow, which I'm excited about with Hambino and Trey. But I've been back playing a lot of Tarkov, and honestly, like enjoying it a lot more because I don't know. I just am finally broke and like I just don't care anymore. But that's good. Like we've been having like great conversations in chat. I think I mentioned last week that like I've been playing almost exclusively Shoreline because it's just like the flow state. Like my biggest problem with a lot of the maps in Tarkov right now is that I don't know what to do. There's no like flow to the map because nowhere has good loot. So there's like no place to go where people fight. It just like, it's so hard to explain. Not that you would get back in, but I think like a lot of the maps, like I think if you hopped into customs right now and played customs all day, you'd be like, you wouldn't even know how to describe it. You'd be like, what's different? Like, Jesse, just tell me. Like, I can't, like, it just, the game feels.
No, I think it'd be very different because I think there's been like 2 fucking expansions
yeah, okay.
but
I mean, like, even beyond that, even if you learned that, it's just like on a lot of the maps, the flow just confuses me now. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't have any quests I'm doing, right? Like that's a driver of flow a lot of times. You're like, oh, I need to go here to pick this up, and then I need to go here. I want to loot filing cabinets. So you kind of make a mental map. And normally when you're done questing, your mental map is centered around getting to high tier loot or getting to PvP. But there just doesn't, like I played streets, I played customs. I just don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. So Shoreline is just like, I spawn, I SJ6, I trim it all. I run in a straight line to the resort. And then if I get there, it's like completely flow state. I know I have all the keys, and I know depending on if I come in east or west, I know exactly what order I'm going to loot all the rooms. If I hear people, I PvP, and that's what I want. The resort is my favorite place in the whole game to PvP right now. The audio is like so bad, which kind of makes it suck, but it's still really fun in spite of it. So it's one of those things where it's like a win-win. If people show up, I just fight them and have a good time, and whether I win or lose, it's whatever. And if people don't show up, I don't feel like I'm wandering around the map because I just go into my flow state. I just loot third floor, second floor, first floor, run across Sky Bridge, third floor, second floor, first floor. If I don't see a single PMC the whole raid, I just vault out the window and I leave. You know what I mean? So it's just a perfect map because I just always have the next step planned. That is how streets used to be because there used to be loot. But anyways, that actually like one of the biggest conversations going on. I don't know if it's happening like on Twitter or whatever, but one of the biggest conversations we're having on stream a lot is there is no loot anymore. And like you remember,
that's what I've been seeing on Twitter.
Okay, that's funny because I really haven't been interacting with the like community at large very much. Like I'm not on Twitter much anymore. I don't even hang out in a lot of people's like Tarkov streams much anymore. So that's funny. But we've been talking about that a ton in chat. Like bro, you remember like Shoreline Resort, if you had all the keys, like that was the place to go for loot, for like LED-X's, ophthalmoscopes, like juice loot, graphics cards in the PCs.
I remember that was for most of like history.
Yeah.
And then I got the tail end of last I played was like the whole thing where I would go through and go to all of these rooms in an order and you get in that pattern. It became like not really worth it.
Bro, I have gone through, I played raids where I haven't seen a single player and I loot all like 16 to 17 keys that I have and my tri-zip is half empty. And it's like,
damn.
And like, if I find one gold thing, that's like a good resort run right now. Like if I find a roller, it's like Pog. It's crazy.
How much can you sell a roller for now?
Like 32,000 rubles.
I was going to say like 30,000 is what I remember them.
It's like, it's crazy, bro. It's like the amount of times I found more LED-X's in just duffel bags or med bags than in locked rooms. Like it's basically like every locked room. It feels like, this is probably an exaggeration, but it feels like every locked room in the game right now, except for the keys you get from ref, if you grind arena and play, those locked rooms are stacked. It's literally like the meta.
Is that it?
The meta for finding LED-X's is grind to ref level 3 and get Voronsky. Which is, I'm not going to do. Sorry, I'm not going to do it. But like, locked rooms in Tarkov are duffel bags. You're paying for a 40 use key to unlock a duffel bag. That's literally what it feels like. 301 used to be like 1.5. West 301 used to be like 1.5 million rubles. And it was GPUs, it was LEDs, it was rollers, it was Bitcoins, it was everything. The amount of times I strolled in there today and there was not a single piece of loose loot. In 301 is 2 computers and a green box. And in the 2 computers, it was like 2 CPU fans. And in the green box, it was like a Mosin stock in a
Is that
barrel.
the room where the guy like ghost looted the green box?
Yes,
that room?
yes. So in that room, there was literally not a single piece of loose loot. This is the best key on Shoreline, the most expensive key on Shoreline. It's not 1.6 million rubles anymore or whatever it used to be. It is a ghost town, bro. Same with Streets. Like Streets, and this used to be my flow on Streets because there was really good loot. So no matter where, like I would always hit Lexos, I would always hit Concordia, I would always hit Post Office, and I would always hit Check. So basically, no matter where I spawned, I would create my path from my spawn. Sometimes it's backwards, sometimes it's forward, but that was the flow. And it was the same thing. If I hear someone, we'll fight. And if I die, GG's. If I win, cool. But if not, at least I've got a path. There's no loot on Streets. There's nothing anywhere. All the loot rooms suck. So I don't want to play Streets because like the map is just big and the spawns are bad. And what the redeeming quality was like the loot is insane over there. So like you would deal with the player scavs or whatever. But yeah, dude, the loot is atrocious right now. And I don't think that I don't think the dial got turned like 10x this wipe. I think it's kind of been like death by 1,000 cuts, and it's just kind of finally presenting. I think it's a bunch of micro, adjustments around, people complaining scavs were getting too rich, so they nerf loose loot a little bit. People were complaining that cheaters, are really popular on this map because the locked room loot is really good. So then they dial back the locked room loot a little bit. And I think it's just death by 1,000 cuts. And here we are. And it's like, there's no loot. And I think I mentioned this the other day when I was talking about Delta Force. And anytime I play any of these other extraction shooters, I'm always judging based off Tarkov's looting experience because Tarkov's looting experience for so long was like so good. And I'm realizing that like Tarkov isn't hitting that bar anymore. I found a LEDX, a found in raid LEDX. Woo! Right? It was selling. I checked the flea market for what they were selling for. And the cheapest price was 600,000 even. You can sell them to therapists for 611K. So I went to like sell my found and raid LEDX to make my payday and ended up buying 2 LEDXs off the flea so I could sell all 3 to therapists and make the extra 20K. It's GPUs are 170K on the flea. It's like this weird combination of there's no loot. So you'd think that rare stuff would skyrocket in price. If there's 5% as many LEDXs as before, you would think that they would skyrocket in price. But it's paired with the found and raid flea market has made nothing valuable because you can't buy the things you need to upgrade the flea market. And because of that, so many people are less, like a great example is Moonshine. Moonshine is normally a really stable, it's like 270K. Right now, Moonshine's like 150K. And the reason for that is a lot of people run Moonshine through their scav case because it's the best chance to get like keys or LEDXs or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But the scav case is so hard to get because of the found and raid hideout that nobody has it unlocked. So nobody's buying Moonshine. So Moonshine is worthless. So it's like, it's this super weird thing where there's so much less loot. And when you find the good loot, it's so much less expensive. I found a violet keycard in Dorms Marked, and a brand new fresh violet keycard sold for like 1 million rubles. You're like, oh, this is what?
Well, yeah.
Good.
It has to be because compared to previously, the demand is also tanked just more than the supply, right?
Yes.
Like that's what happens, right? When you have a supply shift to the left, you go from S1 to S0, the price goes up, right? Yeah. But if the supply goes down, and then imagine this line moves down.
Yes.
Because the demand goes down, the price stays exactly the same, right? Yeah. Like, so there's what are you going to do with a LEDX?
Yeah, exactly. Because
other than sell it to therapists. So there's no reason why it would be more expensive.
Well, yeah, but the thing is like stuff that people would normally buy them for. Like one of the things that drives LEDX prices up, that keeps LEDX prices up, is the barter for the thick items case. It's one of the only ways to get a thick items case. All, you know, the Chads love the thick items cases, but for some reason, nobody's got buying thick items cases. There's, once again, a lot of causes. One of the causes is definitely prestige. More people prestiging means less Chads sitting at high levels permanently. When the Chads are at the high levels, they're normally accumulating thick weapons cases. I don't think that many people are prestiging that alone has like a humongous effect on the economy. But there's that, the found in raid hideout.
Saturated. If everyone has 3 thick item cases, you don't need 19 thick item cases. Yeah. So at some point, the demand kind of just flattens out, which means everything that relies on that is going to flatten out.
But everything is trending at a price well below what the past 7 wipes have been. Like LEDXs have been pegged pretty much between like 800K and like 1.1 million, depending on some wipes. You know, the LEDXs are crazy. Some wipes are cheaper, but they're just full blown at all times the price you can sell to therapists. Moonshine,
is that dynamic based on the flea market price, or is that still fixed?
Oh, like what you could sell to therapists? I believe it's fixed now. I don't think that affects it anymore. Maybe like very minutely, but not much. So everything is down. Everything is down. Now, some stuff, there's like a really explicit reason, right? Bolts and screws are down because the number one driver of those things being expensive was to buy them to upgrade your hideout. That is just completely gone, kneecapped, gone. So some of it's really cut and dry, but some of it I don't necessarily understand. But it's like, so we're in like the worst of all timelines in terms of like, you know, the Pundit Square or whatever, where it's like there's loot everywhere and you can make a bunch of money from the loot. There's loot very scarce, but because it's scarce, it's very high value and you can make even more money if you find it. There's not a lot of loot, but you can still make a lot of money, and there's no loot and you can't make any money. We're in that worst where it's like there's no loot, and in the 1 in 100 raids you find the LEDX, it's not worthless. But it's not the dopamine you're chasing, right? Like the reason you're excited for a LEDX is because it's like this incredibly high value thing that you can sell on the flea market, but now it's just another thing. So it's a very weird situation to be in. And I think it's just sucked a lot of the fun out of raids, out of chasing the thing, because once again, like I'm okay with moving the needle on like how much good loot spawns, but that relationship has to be there where if the thing spawns less frequently, it kind of needs to hold a higher value. So you get that dopamine when you get it. Like if you find a fresh red key card on Shoreline, you can sell it for, I think it's like 2.5 mil. It's just like, that's not nothing, but it used to be 60 million.
Yeah,
you know what I
usable.
mean? Like, so or usable. So it's a very weird spot. And then the other thing is what hasn't really, like, the hideout's been nerfed in the sense that you have to find everything to get it. But if you have enough time to find, like, to get the Bitcoin farm, it's like the best way to make money is just not play the game. Like if you can get Bitcoin farm level 1 with 10 GPUs, just don't play for 2 weeks. You'll come back to, just every day, get your Bitcoin. You'll come back to 18 million rubles and then grind. You know what I mean? And then.
Oh God, it just occurred to me that because it still like produces 3 Bitcoin, and then you have to collect them before.
Yeah, it stops.
That's like the fucking Bejeweled.
Yes, like mobile game.
Your daily grind the day. Oh
yeah. So it's like and then someone else brought up a good point in chat earlier where it's like the flea market flipping is a thing too. So it's like, it just feels like the best ways to make money are don't play the game. It's like scav, which scavving has always been, right? Because it's a free kit. But it's like scav, Bitcoin farm, flea market flip from the traders are like the 3 best ways to make money. So it's like, if you're a PMC and you want to like engage with the game and like go in and raid and fight and find, there's just not a lot going on. So this isn't like an existential like Tarkov is doomed. It's just we found ourselves in a very weird spot this wipe with the loot. I'm sure they made changes to the loot this wipe that just kind of pushed us over the edge. But there's nothing to loot. I've been like basically, yeah, like I said, mainlining Shoreline, been about a week and a half playing Shoreline, 2 weeks, almost exclusively playing Shoreline. I survive 60, I think my survival rate is 69%. Nice. 65 to 69%. I'm down 15 million rubles. Surviving more than I die. Because when I live, I can't make up for what I've consumed, which is like ammo, armor, stims. And when I die, obviously you don't make up anything. So it's like I'm surviving more than I'm dying, and I'm like hemorrhaging money. Now a certain amount of that is my fault because I'm buying an SJ6 and a trim it all every raid or something, but it's just weird. Just weird.
Yeah. Dude, when you prestige, does it get rid of your hideout?
Yeah. Gets rid of everything.
I wonder, like, do people play differently after they prestige? Like, I could see me basically like prestiging and then not doing like a bunch of the shit again. Like, I wondered how many people on their second playthrough just say, I'm going to play without the hideout. Is that like common, you think, or what?
No, because most of the people that prestige want to get prestige 2. And in order to get prestige 2, like part of the requirements for prestige 2 is like your hideout level to a certain degree. But yeah, I'm sure some people do. I'm sure some people kind of like, whatever. See, I'm so out of the loop that I didn't even realize that, but I'm so glad this person put it in chat because it sounds more nefarious than it might be, but he said the only way I'm able to keep my money up is to play Arena. That's the other way to make money. Don't play this game. Play the other game associated with this game. Now, I know that
the other game that we might be releasing for free at some point in the near future that we need to make sure we milk every dollar out of before. Like, maybe I don't know. I don't want to do that. Like, there are the theories out there that like this wipe is intentionally shit because they're basically just like forcing you to play Arena. You want to let X, you got to get ref level 3. You know, a lot of the good ammos that you have to grind a ton of quests to unlock the crafts for, you can buy for GP coins at the higher level ref. The economy in this wipe is in shambles, but you can make a lot of money playing Arena. Like, I don't think it's quite that nefarious, but it doesn't feel good to want to like over the past 18 months really feel like the other game, you know, the second kid is like siphoning the love and enjoyment that you used to get from your parents. Like, I don't know, man. So it's a weird spot. Actually, before we move on, there's a few other Tarkov things, and then I want to talk about the Gray Zone update that came out today. But I do want to very quickly thank the third and final sponsor for today's episode, and that is ExpressVPN. VPN can be a very helpful thing for you. Going without it online is like not having a case for your phone. Sure, nothing might happen, but what if it does? VPNs are nice. Your internet traffic is obviously very unprotected, especially if you're out and about connecting to public Wi-Fis or public networks. A VPN can help encrypt your data, so it can be harder to get a hold of. ExpressVPN specifically is very secure, very easy to use. They have apps for just about everything: your phone, your tablet, your TV, your computer. Rated number 1 by tech reviewers like CNET and The Verge. It has optional dedicated IP, comes with Identity Defender, a new suite of tools to get your data removed from data brokers, which is pretty sick. And it works everywhere, very easy to use. So lots of stuff. And then there's a lot of convenience factors too, like unlocking your location so you can get access to geo-restricted content on streaming services that are oftentimes kind of just like arbitrarily locked and stuff like that. So you can secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/pogcast. That's ExpressVPN, EXPRESS, VPN.com/pogcast to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months absolutely free. ExpressVPN.com/pogcast. Thank you so much to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this episode. Another just like random Tarkov related thing that I wrote down because, dude, I am being tested
on like a biblical level with grenades in this video game. First of all, the amount
I got like 4 kills in 10,000 hours with grenades,
dude,
like ever. I don't know. Of course, that was really before sticky grenades or like fogs for the most part. But like,
I am being tested, brother. The amount of times, first of all, the amount of times I have been like, so there's a fuse time on an F1 or an M67, right? The amount of times in the past week or two that, however you reverse engineer the calculus, where exactly how far away does a person have to be such that the grenade explodes 2.5 feet before it hits the ground in my sternum. Like the amount of times it's just like I'm on my way out, explosion. No, tink, 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 tink. Oh, there's a grenade somewhere. I'm dead. Just mortar strike, dead. Has been like almost like hard to rationalize mathematically. I don't understand how often that's happening.
Now, are you sure that it's air bursting, or that maybe you don't? Because I remember for a period of time, weren't you saying that like the grenade, you don't hear it hit the ground?
Like for all intents and purposes, it's airburst. Very well could be hit the ground. It could be just hitting the ground at the same time. There's like for flashbangs, definitely. There's been a bug for a while where you'll throw the flashbang, you'll see the bright white light, and then like 2 full seconds later, you'll hear it. So maybe it's hitting the ground and then blowing up, and it's like playing the tink tink. Like I'm not necessarily committed to the fact that I'm being airbursted, but the amount of times I've just like died to a grenade.
But there's like no distance in this game where when you throw the grenade, and you hear like the pop of the like
the pin or whatever.
So you don't hear that. You don't hear the pin. You don't hear the
explode.
It
just dead. Secondly, I was playing with Bearkey and Shoreline West Wing, there's the hole in the wall with the fallen over bookshelf that you walk up and get into West Wing. Somebody had tripwired that. I didn't see it. We basically saw this all doing the clip. I walk up, cross the tripwire, don't set it off. We hear a guy. I walk back over the tripwire, don't set it off. I go back over the tripwire, don't set it off. The guy pushes. I kill him. I go, I got him. I walk back over the tripwire, set it off, and explode. And I was like,
did you watch the clips to see that you walked over it?
Yeah.
Or
he did it. It was like, once again, I don't even think this is a bug. I'm just saying I'm being tested biblically, right? Like he must have set it up in a way that when you walk over the bookshelf, because you're almost like falling down, it was just like bad placement on his part. But I walked.
So if you're like moving too quickly, you would kind of like.
I just walked over it and back 3 times, and then I guess just the way I turned after I killed him, I clipped it and I died. It just was like so frustrating because I was like, "Bruh, what the heck?"
Does that sound like a grenade going off?
You hear it's a specific audio cue for the wire getting tripped, like a think, and then it just depends on what grenade. If it's an M67, you have like a calendar month to get away. If it's a VOG 25, you're dead. There's just nothing.
But it sounds like the grenade.
Oh, no. You just hear the trip wire being tripped. You have no audio cue on what grenade. You just pray to God it's not a VOG.
Weird.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because I was thinking like maybe you trip a trip wire and it's not playing the trip wire audio, but you just hear the grenade. Because that would basically be there's no tink, tink, tink of it landing on the ground.
Yeah. No, I heard it, and then I died, and I saw it was VOG 25, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's fine. It was just crazy. But here's where the real juice comes in. I have 3 times died through cover to grenades. Now, you might think, well, was it hard cover? Was it soft cover? Let me paint a couple pictures for you, okay?
Oh, they landed it on your head.
I'm on labs.
Trick shot sim.
Okay. I'm on labs. Do you remember where you know where yellow is? You know the button room to the main parking garage that would call the Raiders? Like that
was my favorite spot.
Yes. Okay. Do you remember nobody ever used this key where you could turn off the alarm?
You walk in, turn right, and it's the
computer, the console, and you could turn off the alarm so that if you hit parking, it didn't announce to people.
Yeah.
By the way, separate bug, unrelated, for this whole wipe and potentially last wipe too, when you know, like a core part of labs is that when you hit the button, the Russian lady talks and like says what sector is being unlocked. That's just been broken. So you don't know. Yeah. So you don't know when people are trying to extract from labs, which is like part of the core conceit of labs is you can use that to like push people. Anyways, I digress.
Brother, all of these things, I get the fucking audio engine is overloaded and it's like there's some threading thing and it's just throwing out 80% of the sounds.
Yeah.
And that probably explains like all of these bugs.
Anyways, so yellow is the room where you go and you turn right, you turn off the thing. Yellow is goated now. It's the best. It's like the best room in labs. It's really good. Anyways, I have the wall to my right on my right shoulder and I'm looking at the door. So I have the wall to my right and then the doorway. There's a guy in there. Trey is in front of me. So he's looking one way in. I'm looking one way in. I have a grenade. I peek and
You're outside.
Yeah, outside the room. I throw a grenade into room. It bounces off the wall, bounces straight towards the guy. I die. And we both like it definitely landed inside because from both of our perspectives, you could see the explosion inside. Like I could see it through the door and Trey could see it through the door. We both saw it bounce in. Here's what's interesting. I can send you this clip later if you want. From Trey's perspective, when the grenade blew, one singular bullet hole appeared in the wall right next to where I was standing. So it really felt like
shrapnel.
One piece of shrapnel penned. We went back into labs and we tried it. We tried shooting through all sorts of places. We tried throwing grenades and we got it to happen like one or two more times. But the full-blown hardcover as it gets wall, my own grenade shrapnel, blink, came through and I was low HP and it hit me in the thorax and it killed me. And then I thought I bled out. After the raid, I went to the after action and it said, you know, your own VOG, you know, everything has 1 HP because you kill yourself. And it was VOG. And I was like, what the frick? Okay, 3 days ago, I'm playing with Airwing Marine. Okay, we're running up to the resort, shoreline. He goes, roof, 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 roof. We both panic spray up to the roof just to get the guy back off the roof, right? I immediately jump up. I vault into the building. I'm running up. Airwing goes, I'm nading. Okay, I have both clips again. Airwing throws a grenade onto the roof of the resort. I am between the second and third floor. I'm not
the stairwell.
In the stairwell, I die. I'm not on the third floor between third floor and the roof. I'm between second and third floor, brother. And I die. People were like, it rolled into the door. I was like, first of all,
it quantum entangled into the shut the fuck up.
First of all, the way he threw it, if it would hit the ground and roll, it would have rolled forward. It would have had to reverse its direction, roll down the stairs, crank a 90, roll down another flight of stairs for it to maybe hit me.
That's the ultimate billiards trick shot.
Yeah.
Because it has that little hut with the door.
Yes.
Was it right?
Yes,
so it would have to be like in the sliver of the door, assuming he was like, you know, if the door is here, that he was here, or what direction?
We were running up to the resort. So if you were looking at the resort, you see first floor, second floor, third floor roof, you'd see the hut. The door's on the other side of the hut. So Airwing threw it over the hut, which means if it hit the roof, it would have rolled farther away from the door, not towards the door. And
are you talking about the hut like behind it?
You mean that
with the two,
like on the roof of the resort?
On the roof where the door is, it's just like a rectangular thing that you walk in and go down the stairs.
Yeah.
So
we were approaching from the back side of that hut. We weren't approaching from the door side because when you go up those stairs and you open the door, you're looking at like the other wing.
Oh, so it was billiards where it landed and went.
Yeah, exactly. It was like he put backspin on the nade, bro. But that's the thing, is I know for a 100% certainty it didn't roll. It just hit the roof and pinned and somehow killed me. So it was crazy. And then again yesterday, there's like two not filing cabinets, but there's like two like medical shelving things that I use as hardcover all the time from guns. And somebody threw a grenade and it landed on the front side of that. I was on the back side of it. And even to be safe, I backed away from it and the nade killed me. And that was final.
cover.
Yeah, that was finally when we realized, like, somebody in chat was like, bro, I'm pretty sure they said something about this. And he sent me a screenshot from the patch notes for the wipe. And it says, adjusted the mechanics of the grenade blast's damage propagation. Shrapnel and blast damage take into account the ballistic setting of the environment geometry between the player and the center of the grenade explosion. Which basically just tells me they broke grenades. Like, it at least rationalized why this wipe, it would be so scuffed. Because they broke something, you know what I mean? But the Lord is testing me. Like, the amount of just, like, absolute shenanigans, game-ending, raid-ending shenanigans I have had to put up with is just crazy, bro.
If it weren't for like you dying to your own nade or Airwing's nade in those situations, if I was dying to like airburst grenades, I would just like basically be like, it must be cheaters. Like there's some weird thing that makes it so that like it magnetizes they chuck the grenade and it goes right,
which it very well
directly
could
at
be
me
to some extent. Yeah. So
at Veritas, come back to Tarkov. It's great. Yeah, sounds good. But man, for sure, sounds like everything's great.
Sounds great. So that's Tarkov. We also got an arena patch. The only thing worth noting is hold on. Dude, how long has it been? I think it's been about 18 months since arena released. In Teamfight, Blast Gang, and Checkpoint game modes, the ally team will always be displaying wearing blue armbands, and enemies will always be wearing red.
Wait, I thought they did that already.
They said they were, and they didn't. Better late than never, boys.
Hey! I wonder if that was like a 13-line fucking GitHub diff.
You know.
Like,
oh yeah, and then by the way, the main selling point in the trailer for this wipe was the RPG. They showed the RPG like a billion times. It's not in the game. Like, we have people. Desmond has gotten Kappa Prestige, gotten Kappa. He's level 70. He's done every quest. Like, nobody, the RPG is not in the game. But it was like in the patch notes, added RPG. It was in the trailer for this patch. It's just not in the game. So that's interesting.
There's 5 in every map, 37 meters under the floor.
Yeah.
So that anyone who has it is instantly flagged as a cheater.
Bro, maybe. If only. You know, I would be fine with that if it was working, but I died to like 4 cheaters today, so yeah. Anyways, moving on from Tarkov. Gray Zone Warfare did a big like Twitch stream today where they were talking about an update. There's a big update coming, and it seems pretty pog. I'm really excited about it. Gray Zone is like, man, the games industry is so weird. We've talked about this numerous times, but like, Gray Zone is one of those games, man, where like the people's opinions of it are so sharp, which is fine. Like I don't care if you like hate or love Gray Zone, but the way people talk about it is like Gray Zone Warfare is their stepdad that beats their mom. Like, it's just so weird. It's so weird. And I've criticized Gray Zone for like they did their VIP playtest where they let everybody play. Every creator I talked to that was in that playtest said the same thing. This is fun. It has a lot of potential. They should wait to launch this game. They launched the game. We all thought it was a little undercooked. It was too early. So like I've criticized them before for like, I think they launched too early, or I think they took the game in this direction or that direction or whatever. But then I, just did like the normal human thing, which is like move on to things that I enjoyed playing. And then the Night Ops update came out. I came back and played it for one day. Thought, wow, they did some really cool stuff here. None of the stuff they did here were changing like my concerns for the game, but it's cool. So I did the same thing and I just kind of removed myself. I played one day of that and then I went and played Delta Force, whatever. So I don't know. People are being weird, but this update is basically them. Like, they basically were like, we were wrong. You were right. We need more player interactions to fuel this game. This is like the PvP update. And everybody was like, oh. So they're doing a lot of really cool stuff. Some quality of life stuff, like the ability to turn in quests just from your PDA. You used to have to go out, do a quest, call the heli, wait for the heli, take the heli back to the fob, turn in the quest. He'd be like, go back there and kill 10 enemies. You'd have to call the heli, wait for the heli, get in the heli, fly back to the place you were, kill 10 more enemies, call the heli.
Can you get the quest?
You can get the next one. Now, there will be quests where it's like, get this mission item and bring it back, or take this mission item from the fob and then take it. So you'll still have to, but much better experience that will cut down on the amount of time you need, the times you need the helis.
Yeah, I mean, that's time in raid, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're adding 9, they're called like cops, camp, I don't remember. It's like a forward operating base, like FOBs.
Capcom's Cam Cop?
Capcom's Cam Cop, yep. They're adding 9 bases on the map that'll be populated by AI, that can be taken over by a faction. If your faction holds that base, you can spawn there. Because normally, it's the map was laid out where each faction has a base, and you can only spawn there. So if you're on the other side of the map in PvP or whatever and you die, you have to spawn all the way back. If your faction holds one of these bases, you can spawn there. You have access to your stash, your locker, so you can like re-gear up or like top up your ammo or whatever. And then certain of the combat outposts, cops. And then certain of these places you'll have access to like a specific vendor, a trader that sells specific stuff. So this crazy PvP catalyst because then a faction can assault it and take it over. So there's going to be places where if you want PvP, you can probably know there's going to be PvP there, or you can like mount an assault with your friends, on this one to take it over. And then even if there's no PvP going on, if you're a PvE player and your faction has this thing, you actually still get a benefit because you can just respawn there and go back to your quest or whatever. So there's that. They're adding PvP. They're called like hot zones, but basically what's happening is in the past, we interviewed Mara on the podcast, and he talked a lot about they wanted this to be a PvE VP. They really wanted the PvP to be on the back burner. You didn't get any XP, any experience from PvPing in Gray Zone up to this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If 2 factions start fighting, it creates on the map like a red circle that's like basically your PDA is like, hey, there's hot activity. This area
like double XP.
This area is hot. Once that spins up, any PvP, now you get XP. And it's just cool because now, like, once again, let's say you only have an hour to play, you sit down and you kind of want to just go fight some people. All you gotta do is like look at the map and you're like, oh, Fort Nerith has like 3 of these places around. Like a lot of stuff is going around. And then once again, even if you're not a PvPer, that benefits you because you look at the map and you go, I'm not doing a quest over there. I'm gonna go do this quest.
Yeah.
So that's
neat.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. So a lot of stuff, a lot of PvP related things to do. There's a lot more incentive to interact on your own, a lot more experience, like an actual reward for interacting. So really cool stuff like that. One of the biggest feedbacks was like, it's really hard to know where you died, like to get back to your body if you're close or if you want to try to retrieve your gear. So now as a piece of kit, you can purchase a tracker that you put on your body that will, when you die, it'll show you where it is. If somebody
an Apple Air tag,
that is literally what they call it. Mara keeps calling it an Apple tag, and then they're like, it's not an Apple tag, but Mara just keeps calling it that.
On my iPhone, I mean,
yeah. And then what was I gonna say? Oh, if somebody loots your loot, they loot the tag with it, and
you can follow
them, and it lets them know. It says, hey, a tracker's been identified. So you, as the guy that took it, can set up a trap hoping the guy comes back. Or if you're the guy that got looted, you can follow and see where it is. And then if you wanted to like disable the tracker, if you put that loot in your locker, like in your stash, or sell it to the vendors, it disables it. So basically it's like you can just like depot it and then get it off the like tracker map, But it's,
oh my God.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
There needs to be like a medium difficulty Sudoku or like something there when you loot the thing for you to check. Like if you think like your wife has a private eye trying to find you, like, having an affair or whatever, like you look in the wheel wells and like to make it so that you don't just know, to make it so that like there's a question of like, am I being tracked? Like almost even like a D&D fucking skill check where it was like, you have a 50% chance of doing it if maybe, I don't know if there's skills or whatever. And like, 80% of the time you find it, and 20% of the time you're like, nope, there's no tracker here.
Yeah.
But there is. I don't know. That would be interesting.
And I don't know if you can. The two questions I have are: can you take it off? Like, is the tracker applied to a specific piece of gear, meaning like you could loot everything but then leave the gun behind or leave the backpack behind? Or two, does it wear off? Because it would be kind of annoying if it was just forever. Like, it'd be cool if it was like you have 5 minutes from the time you die, it'll continue to track.
It should be like once you get back to a base, it like.
Well, yeah. Well, once you get back to a base, it effectively does. But if you wanted to stay out in the field and you looted this guy, it'd be kind of nice to know that like you have to stay extra frosty for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then you're chill, as opposed to just like now you have to. Because once again, the point is we don't want to force people back to base all the time. And if every time you want to loot, you just have to go back to base to like empty this tracker, or you like loot all the bodies, you toss all the loot from all the bodies in a pile, and then you just like defend it for like 10 minutes. And if nobody comes for it, the trackers are dead. Now you take it all. You know what I mean? Like, it would just be cool.
Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting concept. I think it's a very interesting concept. Also,
yeah, that's neat.
They're adding for the first time some sort of identification. That was the thing in Gray Zone, is that all the different factions wear the same clothing and there's no armbands. So you had to constantly be pulling up your map and being like, oh, he's like 200 meters that way. Is that you, Frank? I don't know. Like, you're typing in the chat, or is one of us out there in the West? Now, your only friendlies will have an armband. I don't know if it's both arms, but the armbands in Tarkov are really bad. I don't know if you played Arma at all. The armbands in Arma are really good. They're like very easy to see. It's over top of all the gear, no matter what you're wearing. Very easy to see. So that would be.
They should have fucking tape. I was watching some like Ukraine stuff, and they have like the blue tape just covering their fucking helmets.
Oh, that's cool.
It would be like a lot easier to see. I was also thinking like, this is super ignorant of me, but like, couldn't an opposing soldier just like, grab the blue tape and just like walk up and hello friends?
I mean,
like, I would like,
you can do that in Arma.
They do. Oh god, I don't even want to know. Forget I said anything. It's not funny.
Yeah. But that they're really trying to be careful about that. What they like really want to avoid is like nameplates above heads. I mean, you and me have talked about before. I don't give a shit if there's nameplate above a head, because in real life you wouldn't be trained to know, how to identify your enemies, and you wouldn't all be wearing the same clothing, and you wouldn't all be using the same guns. You know what I mean?
There's not 6 faces IRL. There's infinite.
Exactly. So, but they really want to avoid the nameplates and stuff like that. So basically they're taking small steps. This will be a huge one though, being able to have that in combination with the map, scope in on someone, you see the armband. So that's a big step in the right direction as well. There's the weather update. There's adding like rain and rainstorms and stuff like that. The rain will cause like the rice paddies to flood a little bit. The rain looks gorgeous. It's Unreal Engine 5, but I mean, you know how I feel about the Tarkov rain, so we'll see. Oh, what's cool is the armbands have IR illuminators. So in the night cycle, you still see, if you have NVGs, you can still see friendly. You won't be able to see the armband or the color, but no other faction has armbands. If you see an IR illuminator, that's a friendly. So I was like, nice that you thought of that preemptively.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then
is the rain, what's the audio like with the rain?
It sounds great in the little MP4s they showed, but like, I'm like, let's wait until we.
Why can't they just open up a fucking hidden browser tab behind the game that's rainymood.com?
Yes, dude, yes.
And just fucking like.
Well, it's just like.
The rain doesn't need to be. Dude. Like, it needs to be fucking lo-fi beats to chill and raid to.
Yes.
And have it just be.
Dude,
have it be nice. Come on.
That's what I'm saying. There's 3 levels of rain in Tarkov. The first 2 I really don't mind. It's just like frying bacon inside my ear canal that I'm like, can we please stop this, bro? So in all the MP4s they showed, it was lo-fi beats to study to, but I'm like, there's gonna be a freaking tsunami coming through or like a typhoon, and it's just gonna be rainy. But they showed that off. You're going to be able to call in mortar strikes on certain locations as like basically a money sink, like incredibly expensive the mortar strikes, but that can clear out an area or a fob. You're not allowed to call those in. You're not allowed to call those in if there's friendlies in the area. So there's not going to be like the friendly fire from them. I don't know. I am excited once again. And as I've said, I know that like I'm like a gray zone shill or whatever, even though I haven't played the game in 6 months. It's like, I know what we don't want is to let the hype train get away with us. Basically, it's like, there's a couple degrees here. There's like, colors on the rainbow. It's like you might want Gray Zone to succeed and hear all this and then start generating hype in your mind. This is going to be the best update ever. This is going to fix it. This is finally, Gray Zone's going to kill Tarkov, right? You don't have to do that. Practically, in reality, what happened was I played Gray Zone and was like, there's a lot of potential here. It's not there yet. I'm not going to play it. I would love for these 4 things to come into the game. Then I would probably play it. If the devs do a stream where they were like, hey, these 4 things, they're coming into the game. I'm not generating a hype train because I'm like, oh, that's exciting. I'll check that out. I'm not getting carried away. I'm just like, if you're like, I really want a ham sandwich and someone hands you a ham sandwich, you're not like, there's no reason to get excited yet. It's like, you're like, oh, sweet. You're bringing me a ham sandwich. It's like, I'm not thinking it's going to be the best ham sandwich in the whole wide world. I'm just excited to see what's about to happen. So that's where I'm at.
People talk about the hype train. Are they like thinking that you're like hyping it up to the community?
Yeah, to sell copies because I get paid.
Oh man, I mean, like, I guess I it's so funny because I have like something that is almost self-defeating in a way where it's like half of me wants to say, needs to recognize like we're influencers, right?
Yeah,
like, that's kind of, but at the same time, it's also like, I don't know. I just feel like if someone's watching me, they're a fucking adult who can think for themselves.
Yeah.
So like, if I like something and I talk about it in a certain way, then you should be able to filter it through your fucking brain space to be able to rationalize whether or not that hype. I have information. I have your opinion about it. Put it together. Let me form my own opinion. I mean, but granted, everybody's a fucking brainless machine. Yeah. So I guess maybe that's pointless. But like, who's criticizing? If you're criticizing someone for generating hype or whatever, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's
shut the fuck up.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
shut the fuck up.
Hype is an internal thing. If like a great example is like when the new Tarkov wipe comes and I'm super excited about it, how much excitement do you feel? None. You're not interested in Tarkov anymore. Yeah, you personally.
Oh yeah, none. I'm excited. No, I'm excited to see it flop or to see it whatever.
When my friend comes up to me and they says that they're super excited for freaking Johnny Tsunami and his golf game this summer, I'm not carried away in the hype because I'm not interested. But if you and me talk about something we're mutually interested in, then maybe we'll get hyped. But it's like, that's a you thing. You determine your level of hype. If hype was like this sentient being, then you would get hyped about things you're not interested in, but you only get hyped about things you like. So it's like and then the whole thing is like, we're influencers. I actually had this conversation with someone the other day. It was one of those times where like I was like, somebody said something and I was like, the vibe was just perfect in chat to be like, oh, let's unpack that. Like, let's talk about it. And then they just went off the rails. And I was like, damn it. Like it wasn't like a troll, but he just had like a crazy, like brain dead take. But instead of being like, yo, you're brain dead, I literally asked him, I was like, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Anyways, but it was this whole like, his argument was essentially like, I was forced to buy this game because people I watched liked it. And I was like, man, you're like,
you just admitted to being a sheep.
Yeah. I was like, it's your decision to make the money. Like, I can't force you to buy or whatever. And then other people were like, yeah, but I mean, like, that's kind of what reviews are there for. And like your influencers, whatever. Now the other guy, me and him came to like a really good conclusion where it was like, no. I might influence your decision, but I don't make your decision. It's always nice to like read a review for a product, but do you read one review or do you read a couple? And you read a couple and what you do, you make a decision based on the influences that are around you. So I watch other gamers play games I'm interested in to see if I might like it. But if Summit likes a game, that doesn't mean I buy the game. It means, oh, I like some things Summit likes in the past, and so let me look into this, whatever, and then it is my decision to buy the game. So it's just like the whole hype thing is like you are kind of the master of your own destiny there. Like, I get that there have been games like Battlefield 2042 that were basically like, you were basically just like sold a lie from EA on what that game would be, and like that's pretty rough. But to say that like Jack Frags played Battlefield 2042, so I had to buy it, and my buyer's remorse is placed at the feet of Jack Frags, like that's insanity, bro. Like you swiped the card.
These people are fucking RPing as like concerned citizens, reacting as if you have been paid subversively to promote like Melania coin or something. It's like a pump and dump. Yeah. And the hype comes solely at the cost of your community. Mm-hmm. Like they're reacting as if like your excitement is dishonest, disingenuous, and comes at a cost. It's irresponsible.
Yeah.
It's not that fucking complicated, my dude.
It's not.
I'm either excited about a video game or not. If I'm getting paid, I should tell you that I'm getting paid. And if I don't, call the fucking Federal Trade Commission because I'm committing a crime.
Yep.
Otherwise, shut the fuck up. It's not that complicated, brother. Like if you're mad that you bought fucking Battlefield 2974, then your prescription, I'm a doctor. I'm a licensed doctor. I'm a financial advisor. This is medical and financial advice. Go outside and get some fucking advice. Vitamin D. Okay? Like just touch grass. I'm gonna say it. Touch grass.
Yeah.
Okay. If I say touch grass, you have a problem.
Yeah. And the thing that they claim that I am is the thing they made me to be. Like, I'll be the first to tell you, like, I'm literally just like a 33-year-old with the cushiest job in the world playing video games in my office. Like, I'm not a game reviewer. I'm not a smart person, right? So it's like the criticism you levy against me is predicated on the fact that I think my opinion is worth considering. I don't even necessarily think that. Like, you know what I mean? So
no, every opinion you have is an advertisement.
So
bro.
You have elevated me from like random NPC to like journalist who swore a Hippocratic oath, and then tear me back. Like, does that make sense? It's like you've elevated me to a position to tear me down to a position, and their end is like, you don't deserve to have this influence. And it's like, I know, like, don't listen to me. Like,
I didn't ask for this influence.
Yeah, you elevated me to the point of an opinion worth considering, and then tore it down and saying your opinion's not worth considering. And the whole time I was like, bro, you should definitely buy games you like. You might not like the games I like. You know what I mean? So it's such a weird thing. But I say all that to say, I'm stoked for the Gray Zone update. And if I hop in and it's ass, I'll probably play it for like 4 hours and then go back to running Shoreline. So just it's so interesting. So, but now that's the minority. I think that there's a lot of people out there who basically held a similar opinion to me, which is like we got excited for the thought of like an open world kind of milsim-y game. It wasn't quite cooked. They did a few updates that didn't do a whole lot to the game. And then they got on the thing and they were like, we were wrong, you were right. We were trying to establish like lore and a lot of that stuff first. But we realized that if the game's not, I mean, it's the stuff they were talking about on the podcast, on the thing today. But if the game's not worth playing, then that other stuff we want to do is not going to land. So we reprioritized the roadmap, and we want to make the game more fun and playable and give more reasons to engage with other players. And then we'll do this stuff later. That to me is like sweet. Like, that's very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, invest literally 98% of your savings account in the game.
Gray Zone stock, yes.
Yeah. In Gray Zone, like a meme coin.
Yep.
Remember when fully cooked was like a good thing? Like half baked and then like it's fun.
Yeah.
Like it's fully, now the kids,
now we're cooked.
The kids made cooked. And bro, speaking of cooked, you remember Spectre Divide?
Yes, that's
Did you hear?
cooked.
Dear Spectre fans, a message from our CEO. It's been 2 weeks since we launched the Spectre Divide Season 1. We're incredibly grateful for the positivity and support that you've shown. Unfortunately, Season 1 launch hasn't achieved the level of success we needed to sustain the game. We were optimistic about the first week. We had 400,000 players play, with peak concurrent player count of 10,000 across all platforms. But as time has gone on, over 2 weeks, we haven't seen enough active players and incoming revenue to cover the day-to-day costs of Spectre and the studio. This means Mountaintop will be closing its doors at the end of the week. We expect to take Spectre offline within the next 30 days.
It's crazy that the studio is shutting down too. It's not just like we made a game and it flopped and we should make a new one.
What I want to know is, like, what did you need? Like, okay, I just like imagine a situation where we're going to spend years, right? I'm assuming like Shroud probably jumped ship a while ago too. Like, I haven't seen him talk about the game.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
You were like, we're going to take 3-4 years to like develop a game, spend X amount of dollars, and if we don't see 1 million concurrent players within the first 2 weeks, we're done. It's
cooked.
over.
Yeah.
Who operates like that?
I don't know.
Man? Like, what the fuck? Like, is this?
I don't know.
Modern game development, modern gaming industry, like,
dude, it was the same thing with X Defiant. It was supposed to be the Call of Duty killer. This was made by Ubisoft. They announced it was like the 3rd season. They hired a bunch of influencers to do sponsored streams, and right before the season came out and before all our sponsor streams, they decided they closed the doors. Now, we did the sponsor streams and they paid us, and it was kind of hilarious. But it's like, what? I don't know. It just seems crazy.
They did like a week ago. They did Twitch drops.
Yeah.
So my guess is they're like, the line wasn't high enough and it was going. They did Twitch drops and it was like, and they were probably like, what else? There's nothing we're gonna do to the game that is ever going to turn it around.
Yeah.
We fired all of our marketing people literally when we launched because, you know, like, whatever. And it's so fucking, we pursued every avenue to keep going, including finding a publisher, additional investment, and or acquisition. In the end, we weren't able to make it work. The industry is in a tough spot. Like, was it free?
I don't know. I never played.
Was Spectre Divide free? Free to play 3v3. What? Wait, so it was free.
Mm-hmm.
So it must have just been like skins or something that they expected.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is like the free to play model, I think is kind of taking over the gaming world by storm, but I think it only works. It works more so with these like existing IPs that go crazy, because like a game like Gray Zone, right? They sold maybe 100,000 copies or whatever. I don't know the numbers off the initial hype. They get to use that money. You know, like 2 weeks ago, I think there were like 32 people in the category on Twitch, like watching, and like 2 streamers, right? It wasn't but they have the capital to kind of keep going and fix it because they sold copies of the game. Whereas like these free to play games, if you don't have 50,000 people playing at all times buying microtransactions, you don't have a sticker price, so you don't have any capital to move forward. So it's just like you're crash and burn so much faster.
Oh, I guess maybe slight, not correction, but it wasn't out for 2 weeks. I guess it was out since September. So October, November, December, January, February, March. So 6 months.
Okay.
I guess the season started. And,
yeah. 2 weeks ago.
At that point, you would expect that like the season should bring in a ton of people, and they probably are going to release, you know, new skins or whatever, and they probably just got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god! But that's like, I don't know. I guess like I'm way too financially conservative to like conceive of this.
Of a runway that short. Yeah.
Yeah, like.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be buying. Now, this is one of those things that's like, we had a little bit of a adjacent conversation about, I recognize that like I'm in a fortunate position, but like I wouldn't buy a house if I couldn't pay the mortgage for a year if I lost
everything.
All income. Yeah. Right now, again, I recognize that that's like a fortunate thing, but it's also kind of that mindset that helped me in a way get.
It's not about specifically 1 year. It's about that mindset of like, I don't want to make a big decision like this unless I'm. So the thought of like employees, big company, millions in marketing.
I don't hit some insane levels of revenue within 6 months. We're shutting the whole thing down that we worked on for 5 years or whatever. It's like, I mean, that's why I've like have had a million business ideas. I mean, my undergrad degree is in business, and I'm just like, it's just, I don't know, too much of a gamble.
Yeah,
it's wild.
So I don't know, but I did see that. R.I.P. Spectre Divide. But
billionaire streamer POV. Yeah, billionaire POV. You're a billionaire streamer with 197 subscribers on Twitch. Billionaire boys. Do the math. Run the numbers.
That's
fam.
That tier 100 sub.
Yeah.
But that is the stuff this week. A lot of new games. A lot of more Tarkov, a lot of stuff to look forward to. Cool stuff. So thank you guys for hanging. As always, appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being a part of the Pogcast fam. If you want more content like this, you can go to patreon.com/thepodcastpod and get early ad-free access to these episodes, get additional episodes every single week. Thank you again to Mando Factor and ExpressVPN for sponsoring this episode. You guys are the best, and we will definitely see y'all on the next one.
Buy my crypto meme coin.
Please.